Everyone.
talk a little bit about
Oh,
how AI is completely changing our jobs as devrels. Pretty scary and interesting.
Excited.
Yeah. Should we go around and introduce ourselves?
Let's do
sure.
it. Rob, you want to go first?
I'm Rob Stupé. I've been at Remix for a long time. I'm the devrel there. Before this, I was web dev and also a writer. So it kind of they bounced me from the development side to the community side many
Nice.
years ago.
Excited. Nice
So
to meet you,
now I'm
Rob.
like, nice to meet you.
Oh, go for it. Go for it.
Me? All right. I'm Kat. I'm doing developer relations at Solana Foundation. I've been in the DevRel space, I think, for like 6 years now. And I was a software engineer for 5 before that. So,
Exciting.
yeah.
Exciting. Yeah, what's up, everyone? Francesco. I'm doing a bunch of stuff, developer relation related at MetaMask Consensus. And yeah, before Consensus, no, it's almost like 5 years. But before that, I was in enterprise blockchain at a company called Digital Asset. And before that, I don't know a lot of people know that, but I'm a mechanical engineer by background. So doing a bunch of things
A what
with
engineer?
robotic, mechanical engineer.
Oh,
So doing
shit.
a bunch of things with robotics and yeah, I just got into software and I also like was passionate so much around hackathons and more. And yeah, that's why the entire kind of like devrel angle, right? So it was a perfect match for me back in the days, and it's still a perfect match for me right now because you know, especially with the things. Cloud code, or should I say, bold boats evolving, and the entire kind of intersection with blockchain. So excited to do this live stream.
Nice. Yeah, me too. Okay. We have some questions here. I'm just going to share the screen so we can see them and we can just go through them. So I don't have to moderate. The questions are here. So, first
You
one
can
we
part of
have.
the.
Yeah, I want to talk. I
Nice.
don't want to like tell you guys what to do. Um, First one we have here is what's one moment recently that made you think, okay, Deborah, my job is like completely different right now.
I'll go for you, Rob.
Uh, I guess it's yeah. I was presented with I had to change reformat like a repo of material of tutorials into a completely different format and to organize them, and someone used some I think Claude probably to kind of reformat it halfway, and they said, okay, here, now you finish it, should be simple. And then I looked at it and I realized, you know, AI is going to help somewhat, but so it's kind of like making everyone think that that my job is super simple, and that
Fair.
I don't need to do anything else but use those tools.
Yeah. Francesca, what about you?
Hmm. It's a good question. I think like I mean, first entire kind of like DevRel profession is kind of like shaping, reshaping, kind of like every like months, every 6 months, right? But I think like the state of the developer side definitely like increased when different LLMs, even like with the first version of ChatGPT, right? When I started to kind of like see, okay, interesting, like now from text and kind of like write ups, I can start also like embedding piece of code. So things are getting like faster and faster, and that's where kind of like I notice, okay, people are, I think, overselling the developer on the DevRel side so much, and I think
Mm.
okay, now we're going so much in the relationship side, and it was getting like exponential, and I think like now we are seeing this moment. Because if you think about, we are what, 1.5, not even 2 years in to this kind of like, you know, change. And yeah, so I would say like that was the main moment. And I think like, you know, from was other things were really expected, like, you know, from text to code, like Claude was also expected. Things were getting like much faster, but I think the big wow moment was simplify simplifying, getting kind of like much more AI support from for different like streams. Like obviously, like
Yeah.
technical write up was one, but yeah, was wondering what about you, Kat?
For me, like, I mean, I think it was really recently for me. I mean, I think I was in a space like 2 years ago where we were also talking about hi AI is changing DevRel, and it was like, oh, we can automate a bunch of stuff, and that's cool. But I think like 2 months ago or something, or not even 2 months ago, I came back from Christmas vacation.
I think you're muted.
Yeah, I think you got
I'm
muted
unmuted
on
now.
the.
Can you hear me again?
Yes,
Yes. Yeah.
Okay,
there you are.
cool. Don't know
Yes.
where we left off there, but I came back from Christmas vacation and I started to like code again and just use Claude and Codex or whatever. And it was like, oh shit, I can basically do this in one prompt and build something. This is crazy. Because I think it's just in the last 3 months, like before then, you still had to, I was still using like cursor and like adapting everything and kind of doing AI assisted coding, but not AI driven. And then it just got so good in the last few months. And we were thinking a lot about we were designing these libraries and stuff, and then we're like, humans aren't really going to be using these anymore. Like, we need to design these libraries for developers, for agents, not for developers anymore. So it's kind of like a whoa moment for me. And yeah, I was a bit of an AI doomer before recently, and now I have like free claws running, doing something for me. So
Yeah, Ralph changed a lot of things.
yeah,
Yeah.
do you use Ralph?
I tested
Beta?
out post Nader kind of like workshops and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm so excited on the. I mean, I think like sending different PRs or at least like reviewing PRs change a lot of things. We got like 10,000 plus PR on the MetaMask repo, and it's
Yep.
much easier now, at least reviewing. But I think also the seniority needed to review is increased. So I think there is much bigger gap around junior and senior
Mm,
in general on the software development side. But it's very interesting how the road to MVP kind of shorten up, right? And obviously there are concerns, right? Because as everybody knows, it's kind of like garbage out, garbage in, and garbage out. We will finish up with like 99% MVP never went into production or even
yeah.
get distribution because it's like more a test. But I think like the logic, the fundamentals still stay the same, right? To review it, to like the gap to get to this seniority, start reviewing with a critical sense and actually giving responsibility to say and green light big PRs. I think it's something that still need to happen on a one-to-one basis. But a smaller task are so automatic, like smaller task changes. Like it's crazy how things got speed up.
Yeah. We
Whoops.
I think uh, I think we got
Things
cat.
got speeded up.
what's happening?
Yes,
We got bounced
the
out
the
and
agent wanted to get in,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Oh. Um
But I think that's yeah. But I mean, what you're saying, Kat, is one side is on the DevX side, but I think also one thing that got much more pushed in terms of like relevance is the relationship side, right? Like building communities. I think this is now even more important, and I start to see like so much more fragmentation around experiences around different ecosystem that I think actually bringing people together on a more human level will be more interesting
yeah.
because we're building even bigger highlands now, right? But I think that's a challenge. So I think also the skills of a DevRel are changing. I think we pushed so much in the past like 2 3 years to build this kind of like technical skill set without, and maybe this is not take, right, without actually like focusing more, as we kind of said, community is not part of
Right.
so much as the profession. And now we're kind of like going back because I think we are going back to build human experiences, especially when you regard like DevX specific, right? But yeah, on the product side is a different story. But
You mean
let me
like
know what you think.
in terms of developer training, more like the event in Patagonia, like people coming together to learn together or something?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes. I think even like you can run your multibot 6 parallel instance on Ralph, building 200 MVPs a day, but it comes like a time that be attached to an ecosystem is also a part of belonging,
Mhm.
right? And I think the part of belonging, there is no way, and things are moving extremely fast, right? I had my first presentation, I think was the ETH Denver last year that I built like I think I have it here even like like with the like building permissionless developer communities in the age of the autonomous agents, right? And basically, like one slide was this kind of like Francisco hierarchy of builder needs, and you have obviously like psychological needs. I can show you. I don't know if you can screen share here,
Yeah,
Kat,
you can.
but I don't want to monopolize the convo though.
No, please
Wait, let
do.
me
It's
here.
great.
But basically, like yeah. So basically, let me see if I'm scaring here. So one part of the game here is that, and I literally take the presentation here, but you have basically like a something called like I think everybody know the Maslow hierarchy of needs. I kind of translated on a hierarchy of builder needs, and basically like this were like okay, things are kind of like changing, right? And the access to resources, this is get exponentially like training, education. Hackathons, but the safety part has nothing to do with tech, has nothing to do with product, right? And yeah, so basically, like one part that I started to build was how this can be changed, and then I have a bunch more slides and what we can actually automatize and build in terms of processes, right? But the love and belongingness, the safety part is something that will never go away, and I think it will get more and more relevant in terms of like what are we actually like providing for the community. So yeah, but things are getting, I think, faster and faster, and I think also like we're trying to skip. I don't know. We're trying to skip a lot of like steps, right? But in the same time, this is what is required for to be on top on everything, right? And I think devrel today is required to be on top of this kind of like narrative, especially because it's like how do you say it, intermediating between product and marketing.
So this, I really like that little pyramid you have, but and I agree as well with like developers kind of wanting this safety and this community and people to talk to. How do you think DevRel is going to be managing that more? Like, how do we sit in with people who are doing community management and BD? What's going to make us a developer relations person and not just business relations, people relations?
Yeah, go for it, Rob.
Uh,
Don't want to monopolize.
yeah, I mean, I guess we had been doing a lot of like getting people teaching a lot of skills and also like trying to teach skills for our specific products. How to use some aspect of, in my case, Remix, and then it's um, so I guess it's like the pathways to learning. Like how to get people to learn what they need to do inside these tools, or getting the bots just to take over running the tool itself.
Yeah, that's actually a question about Remix. Are you finding that the usage has gone down?
Not really. So people are
Really?
still using
Okay,
it. Yeah, it's
that's
pretty.
cool.
But I think because of the fundamentals, right?
Yeah, but like,
Like
are
Rob,
people
like
going?
people are still like focused.
Yeah, but are people going to keep learning the fundamentals if they can just tell, Cursor or whatever to make the contract and deploy it? But now we're going to be having we're integrating AI chats into all different parts of Remix. So now you can deploy it via command or even via voice.
That's cool.
And then, but like, there's still
Nice.
like tutorials in Remix, and we're putting AI panels in the tutorials, which is that like providing, I mean, we were also providing the answers before as well, but I
Mm-hmm.
guess it's like a concept of like just-in-time learning, like trying to get people the information to learn something as they're running into this problem.
Hmm.
And
That's right.
I think that just-in-time learning is like where we have to catch people, like when they're having a problem, and divert them to teach them something.
Yeah, that's
And I
interesting.
think Rob also like standardized templates. I think for me Remix was always okay. This is where I want to go to get standardized smart contracts. Like I think also like this well, like part of it right now, you're servicing, let's say, human as consumer, right? But I think maybe this is not take, but maybe like in 2, 3 months, like 50% of your traffic will be actually like agent consuming some of those specific templates, and even tooling. I assume also like Remix is building under the hood like tooling for agents. That are actually consumable, because I think today one it's not really we're missing it, but I think like integrations, strong integration with like Web3 specific stack might be also something that will need to be there. And if we're progressing like that around orchestrator, we still need to have I mean, that's where Web3 probably like come in as a super strong use case around both attestation, social scoring, um, and trust, right? So that's exciting, because I feel like that's where really the space can provide to those tooling that are ultra growing right now.
It's an interesting thing that you mentioned, actually, like, because I wonder if, as people are just using these tools to kind of design for them and build for them, they don't need to, like, the thing of what kind of developer they are definitely goes down. So there was definitely a distinction between like Web 2 developer and Web 3 developer, and you had to learn those tools, and you kind of became like a blockchain developer. And a lot of those developers were like fitting blockchain into things rather than the other way around. Like, you know, coming to blockchain knowing they need blockchain. But I wonder if, like, if everyone's using AI will then suggest using blockchain for certain things that somebody wouldn't have thought of before, and we'll just do it. And there's not going to be that, like, oh, now I have to learn blockchain, I have to become a crypto engineer. It's just this AI will suggest doing it that way, and it'll just be a really easy integration into what they're doing for things like, the trustless stuff or the creditations, things that you just talked about, Francesco. Could be interesting.
Yeah, I think, yeah. I mean, looking at history, no matter what product, I think people pick up the top pieces of technology and kind of like go with convenience, right? So I think also like they're not really like, I mean, there is really that apart like Web3 specific stack around attestation, social identity, trust score, social reputation. Like you can build that in a Web2 environment that is actually like fully decentralized. What I'm saying is that this is a true use case that can really be beneficial for building a product stack and being innovative at its core, right? So I think like agent will obviously like see this as mandatory, but I think also like right now, I mean, we were saying always hallucination. Right now is basically like downsizing. I mean, when you get prompting, and we are trying to prompt, like there is a lot of downsides of the scope. I don't know if you're getting this. I'm getting this a lot, and you always need to prompt like, I don't want to get a downsize of the scope. I want to actually have this, and I think at the end, it's in the instruction will matter more and more. And I think we also need to be clear what to integrate in the first place. And I think if we're not integrating those trust or even like scoring and the attestations built on chain, I think it will be also hard and hard to understand what is happening because at the end, like it's the same with Eliza at the beginning, right? There were like 700 forks of Eliza, and people, especially like consumer that were consuming specific agents, they didn't know which product stack was actually owned and which track record there was, and that's where I think we can really come in. And I'm excited because finally, I think social and create like specific like trust attestation can be really bring on chain, and is a true use case that can be useful. But I think it will take time in terms of like people need to be hacked. You need to get security breach out. You need to get problems right. And I was checking today, like Maltbot had I was saying like 20,000 already indexed bot. I was like, and it happens in 1 week and a half. So yeah.
Yeah. Also, it'll be interesting, like, and in attestations, like, there's all these forked versions of Remix out there, and some are a little shady, and but with attestations, that would solve the problem. So I mean, like, I find that as Remix integrates some of these tooling into itself, it's easier to get the developers that are using it to integrate it into their projects.
Yeah, I do feel like we've had a lot of these
Yeah,
tools for a long time. This isn't just a unique problem about AI. Like different T X Y Z
because it's an
for a
extra
while.
steps, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like privacy a bit, right? That people want to do one if they are not have privacy preserved stack,
Yep.
they will not really like feel the urge to integrate it, right? And it's a bit sad, right? Because obviously you want to have this specific system be integrated, but the reality show that people always like search, especially on the DevX side, search for like a most comfortable way, right?
Yeah. It's interesting. Should we have a look at one of these questions?
Mhm. Yeah, let's
Yeah.
do it.
um, I think yeah, Francesca, you kind of talked about how you mentioned a little bit about how like we're kind of writing tools or docs and stuff for AI. Um, there's a question here. If people are no, not that one. I forgot what question. I forgot what it is. But like, if we're mainly training, people are mainly learning from AI, and AI is learning from our docs. Are we
Mhm.
changing how we're writing docs, or writing our content, or even our repos?
I think we need to service. Oh, Rob, you want to go?
Uh, I mean, so far I haven't, and I think I'm behind the curve here. Um, and at the same time, like you want to present people with the docs. I think the snapshot of what people are going to be wanting to digest is smaller.
Yeah.
So instead of like all the docs and all the table of contents to get to some part of the docs you want to get to, you're just going to present this little thing. And that formatting and trying to give them all the context is will be a little tricky. But also, like if they're just in uh, a window that doesn't have much room for graphics in it, it'll also change what they can comprehend.
Hmm. Because there's definitely still a lot of value in understanding the intuition of how your protocol works. I think. I think people will just jump in and try to code without it, but they always have. And being able to like teach that intuition as fast as possible, so we know how to prompt, is probably still human content. I'd say.
I agree. Yeah. I like also like when we put a bunch of stuff around docs also like bring this to your favorite like CLI like
Mm,
spin this out with this specific prompt. But I think also as you say it, Kat, like the logic will not kind of like go away. You still need to understand why leveraging this tech stack make you a better product or not, or at least understanding what are the basic, right? So people will need still to go through like logical tutorials or even like specific technical blog posts. But I think like the way that the DevX is definitely like changing a lot, right? Like I think we're always saying the road to MVP. What was that the time to Hello World? Brought this from Austin,
mm-hmm.
but I think this is not just testing out things. I think also creating MVP, but also if you don't understand how you're building your MVP or you're leveraging this tech stack you want to learn, it doesn't really also make sense, right? But at the end, what is the goal here? Like either is the goal to learn and create awareness, or the goal is to ship to prod. And there are different goals for different funnel or different timing that you as developer you are in the journey. And I think that depends a lot of the tooling, right? But there will come two main gaps here. Like the road to production is obviously faster, but I think the two main gaps are obviously like the audit. People want to have double check. I get like ping can you double check this? Can you double check this? Right? People are not trusting 100%
Yeah.
this. And then the other the other thing is that people building MVPs that cannot scale. Like I was chatting with a friend in Brazil. I was like, okay, I got to 10,000 users on mobile. I don't understand how I can scale this because it always crash. And and he was trying to understand. So I think like I mean it's not an hot take, but I think we were starting to see like agencies that will will kind of like support you to bring from kind of like 10,000 to a million user, kind of like scaling your product. But the only way that this to be done, and this is the scary reality, is a lot of time those products need to build from scratch,
Hmm.
need to be built from scratch. And I think that's also something technical debt will be a major issue. So these two things is probably like something that even like business opportunity can be done. So if you're hearing this, you have two main ideas if you want to kind of like be part of. trying to understand how to leverage this wave.
I was,
But I would love to
I was
also
kind of
know
thinking the other day,
your
I
thinking.
saw a tweet that said like it's really obvious when you're using a website or a tool that's being used by AI because the person who's testing, person who's building it has clearly just gone through the happy path. And as users, like we don't do that. Sometimes we just or sometimes it's like a little small thing. Like I was building something with Claude earlier and he made a modal and you click an X to close the modal, but I would expect to close outside the modal and it would close the modal. And there's just like little things like that that people don't think of to prompt AI because what they're building in their head is just so obvious. So they're just converting it to AI and they're just testing Happy Path. And I think like this is an interesting mix, like what's happening because I did like a year or two of QA years ago and it's actually it was fun. But that was automated super fast. Like that was the first thing to be automated even before AI. You could just write automated tests and do most of that automation in QA. And I think now with AI now automating a lot of our developer stuff, QA is going to become more important and less able to be automated because we just have to be able to think of a user and what users are going to be able to do with the thing. I think agents just don't think that way when they're writing tests or testing something. They don't think what is like
Oops. And we're back.
But I agree on the testing.
I don't know what's going on there. I keep
I agree on the
keep
testing.
getting lost. But yeah, but
Kind of,
this is something. So we had a big PR come into a Solana repo. There's 20,000 lines on it, and it's kind of like how much testing. It's really difficult to go through. The main thing we have to think about is what is the design of this. Like we don't really have to look at each specific part of syntax and do all the code reviews on that, but we now have to like get our head around 20,000 lines and condense it into a design of how it works. But I think like this is something that QA will have a really big part in. It's gonna be interesting.
Yes. Yes, and especially people were saying, "Oh, does the auditing company going away?" Right? But I don't. I think it's the opposite. I think we will actually like need more auditing specific, and it will be more verticalized.
Yeah.
it'll be interesting. Like, seems a lot of the chains now want, projects that they don't want to support hackathons now. They want to support projects that are already underway. So kind of middle of the funnel projects. And now, like with the, projects can build up, get a MVP so much faster. So there's going to be piling up in the middle of the funnel. And so like pathways to getting our users to get funded is kind of part of our job too, or at least, to give them the possibilities. So it'll be, I'm not sure like how that's going to get resolved. Like at the,
Hmm.
like before it was to get
That's a good
everyone at the
point.
top of the funnel. Now everyone's in the middle of the funnel.
Yeah.
No
I'm
one's
doing
getting at the bottom.
a lot of connection stuff now. Like we're getting people come in with decent projects really fast and they just need to get it integrated into something or they just want a connection with some other team or they want the process of like what are the good auditors in this space that can audit this specific thing and knowing that I think that's also something you can't just ask ChatGPT because they're always behind for some
That's a
reason,
good
that kind
point.
of thing.
Yeah. But you asked before the question, Kat, on how you can leverage also like the growth team and stuff. I think maybe this is a good angle, right? Because um, like the biggest problem, and we run different like accelerator, I run bunch of like ambassador program or even like lower funnel activations, and I think like that's definitely like a good idea. Is also like being like exposed also like to this specific exponential growth, you're able also to state, okay, this team has also like capability to distribute the product when in the integration is done. And I think like judging this is much harder if you're just waiting for the project coming into the BizDev pipeline. So I think that will be something that might be very very useful. But also like again, this is nature of business, right? Like especially I think in Web3 we're extremely biased that product is everything, right? And every market we're kind of like discovering this, but I think now it's really like clear that like product is I'm not saying a percentage, but is like as a minority around how to evolve a business, lower funnel, and even integrate and how to expose more like into like your ecosystem. And even founding chemistry changed a lot. In the past 6 months, I see different startup, different company, and the chemistry, the diversity changed completely. I don't know if you saw this kind of like movement, but I feel now is like, now that kind of like the tech debt is kind of like solved faster, like distribution and orchestration and kind of like opening doors is extremely like is more important. So people are coming even with like mid funnel with already kind of like co-founder around like the growth side already with
Mm.
co-founder with kind of like 10 years of experience how distributing this product. So things are changing faster, and yeah, so it's exciting to see these changes also like happening naturally. But yeah, what do you guys think?
I think that's totally true. And also, I always kind of thought up until maybe a year ago that like being a software engineer would be my fallback. You know, if I wanted something more secure or I wanted to like leave DevRel or something, I go back to being an engineer. And it's like, well, it actually seems like DevRel might be the more secure
Yeah.
one now. But I'm wondering what you think about the job of just regular software engineers and where that's going.
I mean, Rob, you go for it, but I think like the gap, what exactly I said before, the gap is definitely like higher between junior and seniors, and I think senior will basically like I literally chatted with a good friend from a digital bank here, literally like leading all the technical side, and he was mentioning I was hoping to have less work because I was delegating more, but now I'm basically like finish up my day with like 20 plus PR because no one is looking what they're submitting.
Yeah.
So actually, my job tripled in
That's
time,
Wow.
and I think like yeah. And to respond to your question, I feel like first the gap is increasing, but also like secondly, like senior developer, we have much more work, and delegation will be harder because it will be harder to check what everybody is submitting on a way that you can trust. So also like trusting the relationship is also like important. It's the same when you submit strategy docs, right? Now you can create 200 docs a day, right? So you also need to there is some kind of like trust attestation here that is also on the human level now, and because so it's interesting. But what do you think, Rob? Sorry, I interrupted you.
I just found that there are a lot of people that say, I'm not a dev, but I'm writing this software. And um, so, uh, yeah, so that it means that at some point they're going to need more auditing, more checking through the code to bring it up to speed. Um, and also like still like universities are still saying like if you use any AI, we'll expel you. So on the normal universities, they're still like they're not incorporating AI um, stuff to their
this
curriculum.
is this. I have two things I want to say. The first one, my little brother is in his final year of university as a software engineer, and he's like freaking out because it's like, well, I feel like I'm on the verge of being completely useless. And he had an interview the other day, and they'd given like a take home assessment, and they told him in the take home assessment you can use AI, and he thought it was better that he didn't. So he didn't use AI in the take home assessment, and then in the interview they were asking him, "So how did you use AI?" Like that's just a normal thing that they're expecting from him now. But I also have another question that's like we talk about this distinction between senior and junior, but eventually junior is going to need to become senior, otherwise we're just going to lose this entire field. So how is a junior software engineer going to become a senior these days?
It's a good point. It is very interesting because companies are getting, I mean, especially in Web3, they're getting more and more focus around profitability conversations. So this will be seen as kind of also like sunk costs. So the question I'm also asking myself is that are actually like the Coursera's, the universities, like really like coming back on a way to train more and maybe even foundations, right? But it's also tricky because it would be harder to see companies investing in kind of like this education, but you need to do it in the same time, right? If not, you will have a big gap, especially because the evolution of software those days is, I don't know, even if in 3 months, if we're doing exactly this live stream, like if we have this conversation, I think there will be like 10x.
Yeah.
what we're doing right now.
But I think even like I've thought a lot about where software engineering is going, and I actually had this conversation with a friend yesterday, another software engineer friend, and she said we kind of feel boomer. It almost feels like we're boomerish for saying like, you need to understand the protocols, you need to understand these things, you need to like have a basic development, basic understanding of how these components fit together and what is software engineering, what is data. But do we like when I just don't know if that's even true anymore. I feel like these tools are amazing and will continue to be, and will just get better and better and better to the point where maybe we don't even need someone, a person, even looking at it and reviewing it anymore. So, like, maybe this whole concept of being a senior software engineer just won't even exist.
But I mean, it's still like reactive. Like, you submit some PRs and you merge them, and then it breaks the tool.
Yeah,
Okay, then you have to review it a little more carefully, or at some point things break, or maybe if they don't break, then everything's fine, and then you
yeah.
don't need the, so it's going to be like kind of go by by what blew up or what doesn't work, or at some point we had to, you have to retool everything and refactor all your code base because it's all spaghetti.
Doesn't
Um,
matter if it's spaghetti. If AI understands it, doesn't matter.
yeah, or if it's
If it's
future,
working,
This,
it's working,
yeah.
right? I'm
yeah,
thinking about the horse meme, right? Yeah,
Although at the same time,
don't
like a
touch it if
smart
it's working,
contract's
right?
got to be efficient. So, even
yeah.
if they are driven, it'll cost.
But I think this is a
Yeah,
like it's
I don't know.
AI
Yeah.
maybe doesn't make the best, most efficient things right now, but it will. It will be better than humans. It won't make spaghetti code. I mean, we do, but it won't. I don't
I
know.
think,
It's just
yeah,
what I
I
think.
agree. I mean, I agree that we are coming to this time eventually, right? But I mean, the big elephant here in the room is always like distribution, right? You need to have consumer for whatever you're building, right? So it's distribution is even more key right now. And I mean, you can argue with the fact that, you still need to have consumer for whatever you build, right? And again, we could argue that 50% of your consumer will be agent consuming that. I think we're also going in the right direction with like the entire 004 X42 wave, but
Mhm.
also like what we saw history wise is like people are obviously are going with convenient path, right? And convenient path doesn't mean always accepting standards. And if you're actually going into the I space, like those standards are not even chosen, right? So again, like we will finish up with a lot of product that are actually good on a production ready, but distribution is something that people should care more about. And people saying, hey, marketing is less relevant. I think like now it's actually getting more relevant because you want to actually like differentiate yourself much more, not just on a product level, but also why this is happening. Maybe we're going back to the golden circle
There's
from
gonna be there's gonna be
yeah.
marketing towards agents as well, because agents will have to pick tools to use. It's going back to kind of our like SDK tooling conversation. Like a lot of at least kind of what my job is maybe becoming is that I'm building tools now that I'm expecting AI to use, not humans. And humans will maybe look at it and understand it, but actually having that like standard of trying to make humans understand it is less important, and it's just better for agents. So, but then so are like loads of other people building the same kind of tools to do the same thing, and AI is going to be picking one of them. So there's going to be like marketing towards making those tools used by AI. So it'll probably be like agent first distribution. Another role coming up, maybe kind of interesting.
Marketing,
Yeah, I mean,
head of marketing
yeah.
to agents.
Yeah,
You don't have to
that'll be a
talk to
thing.
anybody.
Also, to
But
make
they're
agents, even outside of developers, to make agents recommend your product first. That's something that they do.
Yes. Yeah,
That would be
I mean,
nice.
but I think there is partially already started to get like the instead all this kind of like SEO wave. You have the GEO, to get picked up like on specific wave. I think it's getting more granular to speak about which agent should choose why. But I think it will matter how you're, yeah, if you're building some specific instruments for the agent to pick up on this tech, right?
Yeah.
And again, like we redid again another, target persona around our developer offering. And one big part of the game is obviously like building something that is consumable for agents, and interface are not there. Agents will not consume interfaces. And Web3 is basically being built. DeFi is being built through interfaces for actually users to consume that. Try to do a borrow, try to do a transaction, try to do different things, and the agent will not go through that. So I think that's playing a big role. What do you guys think?
He's like Remix out.
Yeah, that's what I was asking you about. If people are still using it.
Yeah.
That's so
Yeah.
interesting. User experience will be replaced with agent experience. Time to first agent win.
First agent. That's a great concept.
Time to first agent. That's a good point. Yeah, but yeah, this is very similar to what we were building. I mean, I can reshare what I said in some of the slide, but this is basically 1 year ago, and 1 year ago I was mentioning this was like remanaging devrel with AI, but one part of the game here was rebuild devrel and humans want tutorial dev support vibes and feedbacks. Agent was just RPC, structured APIs, and previous SEMA. So I think that's also like very important, right? Docs will not be consuming the same way. So I think those parts of the game are changing a lot. And then I also like break down some specific kind of like how devrel will basically leverage AI, and I kind of like divide different things. And I think this is also a progression, right? We are from human-led to agent native, and you will start to have like an AI assisted, and I think this is what we're seeing right now. And agent native is more on a multiple kind of like way, and I think this is what probably like matter a lot. That this you want to kind of like maintain and keep this progression around, and trying to understand, hey, let's not kind of like follow and be away. Oh, does Remix have ACP?
Agent communication protocol.
I don't know. I guess yes, I don't know. We're going to be doing a rollout of the MCP so that it can talk to our API, the rest of the Remix API, so you can, do a prompt so that you can deploy and compile via command. But I don't know what that is, so I can't really answer the question.
I think you answered
That
it.
shows you where I am.
The MCP thing, yeah. Have you ever written one of those, Francesco? MCP or Claude Skill?
I submitted the first I submitted something called like the playbook as I think was just a Claude. Yeah, it was not a plugin yet. There was a library like for Claude to submit, and then I moved this to a playbook plugin. I think like people when the plugin marketplace kind of like bumped. I think that still now it's around I think around 10,000 plugins, and this playbook plugin was basically like pre-prompt and pre-memorized use cases. Like for example, audit this, and there were like different templates of audit, or like bring me this technical blog post with like a reference blog post. So instead of actually running everything, you were just running the playbook itself.
I'm kind of doing this
I
experiment.
think that's useful.
I'm
Yeah.
building something right now
Are you?
where I'm just
Yeah.
calling it the Privacy in Solana Atlas, and it's supposed to be both for training humans and agents. So there's like the concepts thing with a bunch of diagrams and like UI kind of things that the agents can't read. It's like this is all of the different ways you can use privacy in Solana. And then I just have this catalog of a bunch of different entries for AI, which explains what everything is, but also like if you're using this, it goes with this. Don't use that thing with this. Don't, like, because people, I think AI try to mix and match tools sometimes that don't really work together. And also, especially with privacy, I found in the ZK space and stuff, like AI has the same understanding as humans do, where ZK equals privacy, which isn't necessarily true. People are using ZK for scalability and just having the private input somewhere public. And So it's confusing AI as well because it's confusing humans, and all the content on the internet is talking about ZK as privacy. AI thinks that is true, and it'll take a ZK protocol and be like, "Oh, use this," which just isn't. That's not how it works. So trying to train it that way as well, and that's another interesting thing actually. Everything that humans are wrong about is now making AI wrong.
That's a good. I think contextualization might be also like super important. I'll go for it, Rob. Sorry.
Oh yeah, just the context. Yeah, it's totally. Well, I keep trying to train people to choose the right LLM that's appropriate to your task, and so and also just getting people to like understand like what the context is going into the tool, the AI tool that you're using, and yeah, just that.
And there's also different ways to train AI as well. As I'm learning, building this thing out, there's like, obviously there's Claude skills, there's MCPs, there's RAG, there's like just having an LLM, so text and pasting that in, or there's there's a bunch of different ways, and I don't know which way people are using, or if there's an industry standard. So it's just kind of provide all of them. See where it
That's
goes.
interesting. Yeah.
And are you finding anyone's using private LLMs or local?
I don't think it's really taken off that much, apart from people who
Mm.
deeply understand they need privacy.
Yeah, exactly. I see a bunch of people that were, for example, I mean, they were tech stack like Nilion that you can actually like train, um, yeah, train models more on a private level. But I feel people will just go with the convenient way.
Yeah.
The maximum that I see is that people just running, yeah, their own instances. But the problem is you're still contributing, or either they're modifying and having their downloading specific like local LLMs and kind of like giving context to those. But the privacy part, I wish like there would be more kind of like maybe ZK specific for privacy training, right? That people actually the problem is against what exactly what we were saying right now before was until you have privacy preserved. LLMs or privacy preserved kind of like proofs, like people will not use it, right? The end consumer will not add an extra friction, and I think that's the reality of things. So either you building like shields around those LLMs for people to use, and you see already now with moldbots and everything, right? People still do specific things. And even if now there are better solution around security wise, people already have it installed on a specific way. So they're not kind of like moving. Yeah, it's kind of like chicken egg. Yeah. And I think, but the play that we are kind of like the game that we're playing right now is even worse. We are not just giving data for free, like a Web2 app are doing it every day on our behalf, but we are actually like training models for free. And I think the opportunity cost what we're losing right now is even higher. So and yeah, and it's even harder, right? Because it's kind of like is almost like being addicted to an LLMs and consciousness that you cannot do this task anymore without. And
Oh, it's a
yeah,
whole other
so this
conversation.
dependence will
Yeah.
be interesting.
I would have loved to have time for
And we
that.
have 1 minute to go.
Yeah, maybe we can answer this third last question. Do you have any crises, existential crises about the future of your job, Rob?
Every day. Yeah, I mean, is it gonna write all the docs by itself if it gets better,
Does it need to
or
rent the dogs? Does it
yeah,
need to
that
exist?
too. Yeah,
Does it need to exist is a good question. Yeah.
but for the short term, I think we're fine.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, I think also we are overestimating things, and I think the strong path of develop is always been intersecting different verticals, and I think this is needed much more now than ever. And I think also like people will start realizing that the relationship side will play a bigger role in the
Mm.
developer relation role in general, and when this will happen like people will come back to like, hey, we need to hire more and more authentic kind of like community manager, developer relations, and actually like the people skill will matter even the most. So it's just an interesting use case because it's also like a mini cycle for getting to know these parts. And I think right now we are on the MVP kind of like hype. Let's spin something fast and let's finish up with our GitHub with 100 MVPs a day, and we are happy. But when we start realizing that the game is about distribution, when companies start to see, hey, we need to focus more on the lower funnel, and lower funnel means capable founders that have distribution skills, then people will start realize, hey, we need back like this kind of like side of that. So I think it's also like cyclical, yeah. But
Mm.
excited to have this live stream because I did like 4 live stream this week, and it's all about like agents, AI agents,
Oh, sorry.
product. I think having like an agnostic. No,
Another one.
about speaking about this specific devrel, it's exciting to have this discussion. We
Yeah.
definitely should bring a bigger developer community or even like an engineering community around that to just discuss this.
I'm glad you came on, Francesco, because
Makes it
I've
much better.
I've definitely been feeling quite, I don't know if pessimistic, but like I've been seeing my job as much more kind of agent driven, like talking to agents, and then you come in and you're like, oh, we're going to be actually doing a lot more human stuff, and that's important. So thank you for making me happier. Appreciate you coming on.
No, no, no. No, it's a pleasure. Enjoy these live streams.
Yeah. Before we go, do you want to give some advice to the DevRels in the world right now, who are maybe also having some existential crises?
Go for Europe.
Advice you need. And still, it's you have to work on your networks. So that's nothing new. So yeah, and also build for the bots.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think exactly what I said a bit in the slides. I think they're very is still very actual, right? Like thinking about that, and this is maybe an hot take, that in 3 to 4 months, like your main consumer will not be humans. You will need to start building like tooling and products that are consumable for those agents, or at least like those multiple of the future. So and then the second part is, uh, yeah, trying to achieve and build a resilient communities around could be your product, but even like your general person. I
Mm.
think we will trust more and more people. Even like myself right now, I'm pinging people that I know that I tested something and they're not responding me with like a ChatGPT response. And I think it's even like more important to have this type of like people around you. And again, like I don't think it matters a lot in which type of tech we are. This speed of innovation is impacting every industry, but also I feel also we are in some kind of like small bubble. Tech is small, right? I was last week in World Economy Forum. Speaking about tech was 10, 15, 20% of the discussion. All everything was like from stuff like supply chain to agriculture. Like there is much more out there, and we need to see also the bigger picture. And the bigger picture, it's again like thinking about distribution. Like all this kind of like co-founder and startup diversity is changing fast, and Devrel I think is also like bringing bringing a rationale to lower funnel company that want to be part of your own ecosystem. And I think this critical thinking is start from people on the ground. And I think the truly advocate and profession that is truly on the ground and see those changing fast is this profession. So
Mm.
I think we have an edge. We should not be underestimating our power.
I think so too, especially because I think we're all, it's easy for us to think that everybody knows what's going on with AI, but they really don't. Even in the trad software engineering world, they just are still behind. And we have this awesome opportunity right now to just grab it and like shape how people use AI. I think it's really cool. So excited about that.
Agree.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's also going to be
Thank you so much for your question.
yeah, it's also going to be interesting how we work on our local communities, like even geographic communities, which is people I work with are all over the place or work, but also the local community. In-person meetings are like still really important.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's super interesting, Rob, what you're saying, and now we're closing it up, Kat. But I basically like during the holidays, I tested a bunch of things, but a lot of like creators, especially like this kind of like new wave creators, they were also selling. I wanna meet with other creators together and create content, right? So I also like started to build something called like new media map, trying to map geographically also those creators because I think it's getting more and more important to get kind of like eyes and putting things together. And I think, yes, Web3 is fully decentralized and everybody's a nomad, including myself. But I think at the end, no matter which conference you are, you still want to kind of like meet and create not just content, but co-work with people. And yeah, so I think this is very strong. Thanks for saying that, Rob.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks, guys. This was
Thanks.
awesome. Learned a lot. Lots of smiles.
Thanks, Kat, for putting this together. See you next one.
Have a good
Bye.
rest of your
Peace,
day.
Rob.
Thanks.
Bye bye.
Thanks so
Bye.
much.